I've noticed that not all, but most black people seem to be cursed around the world. Now, I was really, really thinking about this morning. It seemed as though they're cursed or they have been so traumatized by the females in their lives, their mothers and grandmothers, generation after generation after generation, that it is nearly impossible for them to find their way back to God. Because the men, generation after generation after generation, for the last 70 years or so, have so identified with the nature of the black woman that they are rooted and grounded in that now, to the point that they push black women to represent them in government, in schools, in churches, and in their homes, to a point that it seems as though black people are cursed. Because I've noticed that in America, ever since this phony idea of civil rights came along and they had the little rally during the so-called civil rights movement, and the black people turned their lives over to the so-called civil rights leaders. At that time, it was Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King and Louis Farrakhan and others. And then in the homes, the men turned their lives over to the women, and the women turned their lives over to the government, the Democratic Party. That's how the blacks became Democrats, because they were sold to the Democratic Party by the so-called black leaders. And prior to that, most black people were Republican, by the way. But I've noticed that nearly 70 years have gone by, and because that order has not reversed itself, where it's God in Christ, Christ over man, man over woman, woman over children, the blacks have gotten worse. And so as a result, under something called civil rights, which is another made-up words, right? Civil rights, no such thing. It's just another made-up thing to sound good in order to just divide and conquer. No such thing as civil rights. But under that so-called movement of civil rights, everything evil has come forth. Women are trying to rule over men, homosexuals, and lesbians, so-called rights, abortion rights, the right to kill the baby in the womb with no feeling because they have no love, the right to protest against good and try to defeat it, so-called rights like just every gross thing you can think of, right? Every nasty, evil thing has come forth under this heading of civil rights. It is insane, but that's what's happening. So-called women rights. Women are victims, right? And there's just no end to that. And all of these evil things have come under the umbrella of civil rights. And they always say that it's civil rights, and you're discriminating like you've done to blacks. And the blacks are so in darkness, they fall for it. And it's just gotten worse. And so it's not uncommon now to compare black people to every evil, nasty, perverted thing, not only in America, but around the world. And so in America, it's just gotten worse. It's not getting better. And blacks are being used for it, and they are glad to be used because they've been demoralized, brainwashed, dumbed down. And they will fight you on trying to correct them, telling them that, hey, you're doing it the wrong way. You shouldn't be begging and whining and taking, to the point that in America, our traffic controllers don't have to be educated anymore. They don't have to be smart. They just need to be black. There was a spelling bee test where normally when children compete in that test, it has to be the smartest kids. And most of the time, not all, it was Asian looked like Asian folks who would win because they were the smartest. They would even beat out the smart white people. And the blacks could never win because they don't need and have or know how to apply themselves. They're not capable of learning now because they've been told generation after generation that they don't have to work at anything. They don't even have to be moral people anymore, and that is justified. They now celebrate immorality and hate morality. We've seen it with the unemployed drug addict, George Floyd, with the criminal record. We've seen it with Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, all the thugs that have been held up as heroes from the blacks. And the children of the lie will not correct the blacks because they need them in order to usher in hell on earth. But I've been saying for a while now, warning white people that if they don't start speaking up, that what is happening in South Africa and around the world really will be happening in America, and it is happening now. In South Africa, the blacks took over. Mommy Africa, right? I do want to tell you this first. There's a lot of talk about lying about white people going over to Africa and enslaving the blacks and bringing them back to America and other parts of the world, when it really was the Arabs who went to Africa and bought the blacks from other black people. Because in those days, even in Africa, black people were used as money and everything by other blacks, right? For trading and things like that. But they don't want you to know the truth. In America, you can even tell black people they can't vote because of the Republican, and the blacks will believe it. They just fall for that. In America now, they tell you that today you can't vote. They're lying to you so that they can control you. But the blacks are so dumb, they believe that. Isn't that amazing? The blacks believe that there's such a thing as white supremacy because the blacks have been so dumbed down, demoralized, and brainwashed, they believe that white people are superior to them. And if you doubt me, look around you and just reflect. Everywhere they have taken over, it just end up ghetto. Crime and ghetto neighborhoods and business going out of business because the blacks are robbing and stealing from the businesses in those areas. And so far, every black mayor in the United States, whether it's female or male, everywhere they have taken over, the cities are out of control. So it's not like they're making anything better because it's not in their nature to build. It's in their nature to destroy. And what they do, the males and the females, instead of examining themselves and hopefully overcome it, they blame others for it. Isn't that amazing? And so I've been telling white people that you're allowing what happened in South Africa to happen in America, and it is happening. In South Africa, Mommy Africa, the blacks took over South Africa, right? White people gave it to them. And as a result, white people now are being robbed, raped, murdered, killed in their homes, along the highways, because the blacks defunded the police departments and things like that. And there's no protection. They're doing the same thing here in America. So this is from Breitbart. 32 people are dead now since looting broke out in several cities in South Africa, Mommy Africa, this weekend, after the country's former president, Jacob Zuma, after the former president, Jacob Zuma, began serving a 15-month sentence for contempt in relation to an investigation of corruption during his tenure. So they had this black guy that's been running South Africa, I guess as president, former president, since, according to Reuters, Jacob Zuma was president from 2009 to 2018, leading the ANC. And I told you that the ANC, one of Nelson Mandela organization, right? Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela is being held up as a hero by the blacks because he's corrupt, or was corrupt. He did, no, he did. He was corrupt. And so the blacks around the world worship corrupt people, warned to the man who called good evil and evil good. And so this so-called president, Jacob Zuma, was accused of corruption. And he, according to this report, is in jail now. And the blacks don't like that they put a corrupt black president in jail, in prison. Reuters is reporting that Jacob Zuma was president from 2009 to 2018, leading the ANC, which is the ruling political party of South Africa. Zuma supported allowed expropriation of land without compensation. So exactly what has already happened in South Africa, and things are still getting worse, is what's happening in America. It's like the blacks are either learning from South Africa or they're just so corrupt in nature, it's just natural to them to do this. Here's a compilation of this is from a compilation, a collection of various news reports on the situation in South Africa.
This township and essentially taken anything and everything they can carry. They're using rubber bullets, there we go, to try and drive them back. And we've seen this really for the last couple of hours now. And what happens is that the people disperse temporarily and then they regather.
At the moment, what we are watching is a shop. We are watching people who are walking out with things like fridges, beds. I mean, pretend they're walking out with furniture now. So it has gone from food to clothing to furniture. There's a shop that they're trying to hit at the moment. We understand it's food lovers. They're also coming out of their pretend. The whole mall has been looted. When we arrived here, the police were shooting and they were also getting stones that were coming back at them. But now the police are actually just standing.
Look at people disembarking from cars here, going there to loot. You know, those gentlemen and those ladies there in that car, I can tell you that they are going there to get whatever they can get, as some people are busy looting. That's a 58-centimeter television screen, Sinotech. These gentlemen, it's not going to fit, it's not going in.
Isn't that amazing? Doesn't it look like America? And it's in the nature of the blacks to do this. I don't see any other culture doing this but the blacks around the world. Now, either they are cursed or they are cursed. And I have more, that's not all of it. In America, they're trying to take away your Second Amendment rights, while at the same time allowing the blacks to leave prisons and jails, the criminals and everything, right? And they have gotten rid of the bail bonds so that when the blacks commit crimes, they don't have to go to jail. If they go to jail, they're right back out because they don't have to put up bail bonds. And so the blacks and the evil white people in America, those who are working for somebody, they're setting you up to live just like they're living in South Africa. And so I want you to see the armed citizen in Durban, South Africa, fire on rioters with no police in sight to offer protection. And I want you to know it's in the making in America right now. The government trying to take your Second Amendment rights away while letting the blacks out of prisons and jails.
Don't waste your ammo.
Yeah, stop.
Let them come.
Isn't that amazing? White people, that is happening in America, and it's only going to get worse. Why do you think the blacks want to defund the police departments? Why do you think they want to let blacks out of prison? It's not the reason they're telling you. It's the underlying reason. That's what they want. And it's happening in America. I don't know why. I do know why. I'm sure white people see it, but they have fear of speaking up and doing something about it. Voting these blacks out. Don't let them in your government. Don't let them in your schools. Because they don't care. I'm telling you, their hearts are so hard. They don't care about hurting others. They'll do it to their own children. This is from the Revolver. White farmers are whipped and have their vehicles stolen as the country goes out of control. Watch this.
No, hey! Do not be aggressive! Are you serious?
Amazing, right? White people can't even defend themselves. They've been disarmed. Same thing happening in America. And while the Bible thumping Christians are sitting around holding up holy hands and waving and praising the Lord and waiting on Jesus, the secular world, which is of evil, is destroying. You must be born again. You must return to the Father. Before you enter into the kingdom, you must be born again. And this used to be known in America. That's what made America so great, the founding fathers and the men who founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven. They did it based on the love of God. He worked through them to create what we have in America. And y'all selling it down to Satan's children out of fear of being called sexist, racist, all these stupid names. Why do you care? Love what's right with all your heart, soul, and might. Love God along with nothing else, and your neighbor as yourself. To hell with what people think about you. A gospel, they're no better. They have no love. That's why they're doing it. They're evil. If you don't wake up, folks, you're going to lose America. It's going to become South Africa. Look at the white people. They're suffering over there. Catering to the blacks. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Just Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.